us as bereaved parents that isn't normal for anybody else. And just, yes, this is normal. You feel like you're going crazy, or you wonder, does anyone else experience this or feel this way? And the answer is yes, they do.
Thank you for tuning into Time for You Evolve for female entrepreneurs. Remember, you have what it takes to achieve greatness. Your time is now. You're here with me, you're ready to change lives, and you're ready to change the world. Isn't it time to skip over the confusion and start creating sustainable and consistent results? We're going to pull back the curtain and start giving meaning to life in this podcast. Time for You Evolved. Hey, my name is Lisa Carmichael, and I am obsessed with everything online. It's no secret, in this crowded and highly competitive business world, we need to stand out. It's even more important at a deeper level to stand up for ourselves. I am a farm girl who grew up shy with zero confidence. If someone had suggested that I would eventually start a podcast, I would never have believed it. As a farm kid, I had the unique opportunity to embrace a holistic approach to life. All the seasons of growth were lessons that have helped me and other female entrepreneurs find success when they've been stuck and struggling. The Time for You Evolve podcast is here to help you navigate business online so you can be laser focused and help you navigate the messy and the magical in every season of your business. Pull up a seat to hear the tried and true secrets that other female entrepreneurs like you are facing, and get ready for real talk while you learn. This is the Time for You Evolved podcast. Hey there, entrepreneurs, ready to work smarter, not harder? Then you're in for a treat. Let's talk about video marketing, the smart approach that attracts, retains, and converts faster than any other strategy out there. Hey, I get it. Video marketing can be daunting. You should be doing it, but you're not quite ready to take that leap, or you're frustrated because you're not looking like a pro. Hey, I get it. Who can blame you? Creating videos can be frustrating, time-consuming, and downright intimidating. That's where Big View comes in. It's the solution for your frustration. With Big View, you can create professional videos with ease thanks to its teleprompter app. I've been using Big View for years. Did you know that? Big View is an app that has saved me a lot of time and hassle. The app makes it easy to create professional looking videos. It's an online teleprompter that allows the presenter to keep eye contact with the camera while reading the text they need to speak. Using a teleprompter app allows the reader to sound natural without cue cards or notes to fumble or looking down while you're speaking. And the best part is that Big View allows you to focus on your performance and delivery so your confidence shines through. You get to keep eye contact with the camera while you're reading your script. Whether you're a marketer, a blogger, a trainer, a freelancer, a publisher, or business owner, Big View is designed with you in mind. If you're ready to take your video marketing game to the next level, click on the Big View link on my website, lisarcarmichael.com/bigview. Join me and be the best presenter you can be and learn how to make great presentations. And that's lisarcarmichael.com/bigview.
Today's guest is Michele Benyo. She is a certified grief recovery specialist, an early childhood parent coach, and she's the founder of Good Grief Parenting. So thank you, Michele, for joining us here on Time for You Evolved. I would love to hear, what have you been up to lately?
Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It was just really wonderful to meet you recently and have this opportunity because, as you know, we met in a women's writers group. And I am writing a book now that is my heart message that I've been carrying for 24 years since my son died of cancer. And I was an early childhood parent educator then. And I had a 3.5-year-old daughter my son was her older brother. He was 6. And she said to me, "Mommy, half of me is gone." And being in that field, I, of course, just totally took notice of that and thought, well, I can't let her grow up half gone. I have to help her with this. I was just keenly aware from the very beginning. And before my son died, he struggled with cancer, or journeyed with it for 2.5 years. And she was a part of that journey from 15 months to 3.5 years. And, there was a lot of grief even during that time, and things that weren't as they were supposed to be. So we grappled with that. But she was my focus. I was really aware that she was on this journey from the beginning. And I looked for material back then. My son died in 2000, and I couldn't find anything. And I figured, I'm in the field, I'll find what's there. And there was nothing there about parenting after child loss, a young sibling. And so I kind of knew back then, because I'm an educator and kind of a writer person, that eventually I would have to write and make available what I learned on my journey. So I'm doing that now, and I thought it would be easier than it's been, because I'm finding that the process of going back and putting myself in that place where the people who will read my book are, it's really tapping me, because that's the nature of grief. We don't get over it. We adapt to it, we integrate it, we get easier with it, but it can still be tapped. And I'm finding that that's happening in this process. So my book is called How Am I Supposed to Do This? Hope and Healing After Child Loss, Parenting a Bereaved Sibling Through Early Childhood When Your Heart is Broken. So it's a mouthful of a name, but that's the name of
Oh,
my
but
book.
I love it because you've really dove in deep
Yes,
into those feelings that you had.
yes.
Whether it's 2 years ago or 24 years ago, the memories are still there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first book you've published, or that you've ever published, or have you published before?
I was in a collaborative book and did a chapter in a book published by Jackie Finneman, who is the founder of No Problem Parenting. And it's an excellent parenting book with, 20 some authors. That's the only other book that I've been a part of.
Why is it so important to you to put this into a published book?
When I experienced my grief as a mom, I had not learned about grief. And I think that is the case with many of us in adulthood, and many parents who lose a child have never experienced grief before. And if you've lost, my grandmother died, but she was older and I wasn't particularly close to her. And, we lose various people in our lives, but losing my son was and having my daughter there, I thought, okay, I've got to do this right. And I thought there was a right way to do it. And I didn't know how to do it. And then I learned that there isn't a right way to do it. And I learned that there are a lot of things we believe about grief. We just want to hold it off with both hands. And the best way to deal with it is to go right through it. And I didn't want my daughter to learn about grief at 3.5, but it was part of our lives. And so I had to help her with it. And I came away realizing that childhood is the best time for us to learn about grief, because we encounter it in some way or another. For me, I do have a grief story from when I was just a little bit older than she is. It wasn't losing my brother, but it was grief. And we all lose something that brings this pit in our stomach that is grief. And adults usually try to make us feel better, try to distract us, and that doesn't teach us anything. And then we grow up to be adults and we face true, these big griefs, and we don't know how to deal with it. And then we've got a little person we need to help, and we don't know how to help them. So our society is grief illiterate. And I believe that we can help adults help children learn about grief so that they're prepared for it and they can grow through it, because that's what we need to do with grief. We need to grow with it. We can't get rid of it. My business is called Good Grief Parenting, because grief is good. It's necessary. It's a necessary part of healing, and we don't think of grief that way. But if we don't grieve, we're really not going to heal. And so I do want to reframe how we look at grief and how we help children learn about it. That'll be society changing,
True. Do you feel that because of that, people deal with grief differently?
Anyone who's had a loss of any kind, of a human especially, because I'm thinking of dogs and things, which are horrible losses. But when I think about how other people treat us, if we've lost a spouse, or if we've lost our mom or our dad, or if we've lost our child, when you lose a child, people don't want to talk to you about it. They'll cross the street to avoid you. They really will, because they don't want to talk about a dead child. Who wants to talk about that? They don't know what to say about it. They can't imagine how you're feeling, and they don't want to be exposed to your feelings because they don't know what to do with it. So there's a lot of avoidance. We find that we lose friends who can't deal with it. Parents of your child's classmates sometimes can't deal with it, don't want it in their home affecting their child or their family. They don't want to think about it. So we really do need to change how we feel about grief so that we can change how we walk alongside grievers. Because when we recognize that we don't have to do anything, we just have to be available, and we just have to say, I don't know what to say, but I'm thinking about you, and I'm so sorry this happened. And don't tell them, call me if you need anything, because a grieving person isn't going to do that.
Right. Well, I believe so many people make assumptions about everything in life.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're open to that conversation, it's actually a good thing.
Yes.
Are you saying there is a difference between different types of grief, between losing a parent versus losing a child?
One thing that we talk about in the Grief Recovery Institute, which is where I got my certification, is the really important recognition that there are all kinds of grief, and they are all 100%. And that is absolutely true. What we find about childhood grief, and one of the pioneers in child loss is Therese Rondeau. She, in the 70s, did a lot of research on child loss and really came away saying we have a lot of empirical, clinical proof that parents who are experiencing child loss have a grief that is unlike anything else and sticks longer, goes deeper. And because it's the loss of future and potential and identity, we identify with our child in a way that, we have a spouse we really loved, but there was the spouse and there was us, and we're one, but not in the way that you're one with a child that you created and that you're bringing up and that you're putting all your hope, it's not that you're putting your hopes and dreams on them, but you see them as potential. You have aspirations, you have dreams, you're just excited to see what they do with their lives, and you lose all of that. And many parents feel a lot of guilt, even though it may not be reasonable, they feel like I should have been able to do something to prevent it. There's just so much wrapped up in parental grief that isn't a part of other griefs.
Oh, and what you said about the identity piece of it, that
Mm-hmm.
makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's so relatable
Yes.
that our children are part of our identity in every
Right.
season of life that we're in.
Yes. Because
As
we're
they
a
grow.
parent. You think of yourself as a parent, not just a woman, but a parent, a mom. So yeah, it's
Very
huge.
interesting. So what was your son's name?
David.
David. And how old would David be today?
He would be 31 next month. Next month would be
Oh,
his 31st birthday.
oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And what has been the most surprising piece of your grief journey?
Even though I know this, I think it's the way that something really, really tiny can just trigger me, even still. I remember one time, it's been a few years now, but I remember one time being in an office and getting a coffee cup, going to drink something from the coffee cup, and it smelled sort of bleachy, sort of, and it sent me to the hospital. And just, and I didn't even remember thinking of things in the hospital as smelling that way, but just that smell just sent me there. And I totally did not expect to be thrown for a loop when I took a sip of coffee from a mug. And also being on podcasts where people wanted to talk about my son, because I, from the beginning, unlike most parents, but because I was an early childhood parent educator, which I think put me, gave me this such a time as this kind of mission, because I really could identify with what my daughter needed from me. And I saw that so clearly. And it was, that was my life's work at the time. So it just took my attention. And I don't think I neglected my own grief by any means, but I really focused on her. But sometimes I'm on a podcast about grief and children dying, and they want me to tell them about David. And then I have to stop and think, because I've been thinking about Deanna for 24 years. And it really, really takes me. I've had times where they've wanted me to talk about him, and it's taken me 2 or 3 days after the podcast to get over that, because it just took me so deep. And I didn't, and I healed well. I dealt with my grief. So that, I think, is what's most surprising, is even when you've dealt with it well, it can still be very deep at unexpected times.
You not only had to deal with your own grief, but you had to help your daughter grieve. And
Mm-hmm.
from what I've heard from you, you've raised an amazing woman. That had been just really hard. Looking
It
in at,
was. I describe us, parents like me, as being twice grieved, because I really, as devastating as it was for me to lose my firstborn, my beautiful son, her loss was harder for me, because every moment of her life since then, she's had this void. And over the years, there have been so many times, because she doesn't have any other siblings. And so, I know that, I mean, not all kids have the same grief experience by any means. And I know a huge part of hers is that she didn't have any other siblings. And so she was just always without her brother. And there were times where she just really, and they were very close, mutually adoring. And, they were just really very close. And so she lost an ally, and someone that, he said, my sister's the best girl in the whole world. And she lost that. So it's very hard. And I think that because I started paying attention to her, half of me is gone from the beginning. I was aware of it all the way through her life. where there were things going on with her in social situations that I knew was because of this identity that she carried of being, I have a term that I coined. I call them siblings by heart. Because when you lose your sibling, it's like, am I still a sibling? Yes, you are. You know, your brother's somewhere else, but you're still a sibling. So I call her a sibling by heart. And that's a really hard thing to be. I knew sometimes that things going on in her life were because of that. And other people didn't know that. And so they'd judge her behavior or be frustrated with her or whatever. I knew what it was about, and other people didn't. And that was very hard. It's very hard on her.
You could have gone down the road of protecting her, but rather you embraced it together. Because I'm sure when you lose one child, you're always afraid of losing the other.
Mm-hmm.
Or am I making an assumption?
No, many of us feel that way. And for me, it was being aware of everything that, you know, every ache or pain or whatever. She was really a fearless kid. And I didn't worry about her having an accident so much as, yeah, but you wonder, I mean, where did the cancer come from in the first place? We didn't have a history of that. Neither one of us, her dad or I, had a history of that in our family. So where did it come from? And I think that's very common that you can't get away from that fear of losing the other child too. Mm-hmm.
So right now you're working on your book, and how's that going?
I feel like I have all my material because I do have a coaching program course that I've run and with clients, and I'm taking a lot of the parenting content from that course. I'm starting the book laying this foundation of what's normal for us as bereaved parents that isn't normal for anybody else. And just, you know, yes, this is normal. You feel like you're going crazy, or you wonder, does anyone else experience this or feel this way? And the answer is yes, they do. And I'm trying to write that piece that just really acknowledges the rawness of the early years at a time where I've gotten further away from it and have gotten more comfortable. Just like me, I've been aware in this podcast that I say my son died. And a lot of people don't say it that way. I choked on it when my son died, and I had to give Deanna that vocabulary word because that's the only word that accurately tells her what happened to her brother. He died. He didn't pass. He didn't go away. He isn't gone. You know, he isn't lost. He's dead. And dead means this. And so when you're a new parent, even if you know you need to use that word, I mean, you know, you're just more, they're more sensitive to some of the things that I've become comfortable with. And it's made me stop and think and wonder about a lot of what I'm putting into the book. And it's really kind of psychologically hung me up on getting the book done. And, you know, the irony is that the name of the book is How Am I Supposed to Do This? And sometimes when I've been writing, I've gotten kind of so knotted up with all of this, you know, trying to tease it apart and order it. And I think, how am I supposed to do this? Because there's so much in my head. So
that's so true for any author or for any entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
My audience today is female entrepreneurs who are multi-passionate, who are stuck, they're struggling. And I really want them to see that you can struggle, but there is another side to it. Deadlines are put there for a reason. If we didn't have goals, we wouldn't have anything to work towards.
Right.
Goals do not have to be set in stone. Except when you have a conference. You have a conference coming up, right?
I do. I am going to be doing a keynote for the bereaved parents of the USA at their national conference in the Washington, D.C. area, the end of July. And so my original goal was, and I had every reason to think I would be able to do it, was to have my book ready to sell there. And it won't be. But then that's sort of, released me from that deadline because there are other ways to sell my book. I'm just going to have to, prepare some materials to gather those, those leads differently. And it was such a relief to me, when you talk about goals, it was such a relief to me when I realized that, yes, I had a goal, but I was going to miss it. And okay, that's okay. The world wasn't going to end. It wasn't the way I wanted to do it, but there were other ways to do it. And it was such a relief to me to let myself off the hook and not beat myself up because I recognized that. And this is one thing, I was never cut out to be an entrepreneur. I knew this. I've never thought I'd be good at this. And so I had a lot of mindset things to learn. And the shoulds that we give ourselves, the beliefs that we have to do this now because we know it's there and we want to do it, so we have to do it now. All of those things can just, and really did for a long time, just really mess with my mind because I don't know people personally who are entrepreneurs. My friends aren't. So they're watching my process and they're hearing, like they'll ask me, how's it going? And I'll say, well, and what I share with them doesn't sound like a whole lot of progress sometimes. And I would start not wanting to share with them or, wanting to make it sound better somehow, and I was feeling a lot of pressure on myself until I realized that even though some of those needles weren't moving a whole lot, I had done so much. I had learned how to use Zoom. I had learned how to use Canva and do my own Instagram posts. And, I was learning all these infrastructure things that can be a distraction from, revenue generating. But it wasn't that I wasn't working on my business. It was that I hadn't gotten to the point where I was making revenue yet or doing the things that other people could point to and say, oh, there's where you are. So that was a huge lesson I had to learn. What was that, Lisa?
Yes. Oh, or that you are ready to share that finished project.
Yeah. So, and that I know is some of the pressure I'm feeling about my book too, because the book would be that really tangible thing that I could use. But
oh yeah,
it's gonna get done.
Said, yes, it will get done. Like you said, in our Women of Words group, some people it's taken them 9 years to write a book, others 9 months, and there's no right or wrong. Right. And that's the same with grief. There's no right or wrong. There's no mold that we can put ourselves in.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Michele, how can our listeners find you?
They can find me at Good Grief Parenting just about anywhere. My website is goodgriefparenting.com. I'm Good Grief Parenting in Instagram. And I'm Michele Benyo in LinkedIn and on Facebook, and Good Grief Parenting on Facebook. I mean, all of the usual places. At my website for any adult who is working with young children who may be grieving, and I do a lot of training of childcare provider groups and staff groups and things. I have a Good Grief Guide publication at my website. And it's also available on LinkedIn that people can get from my website. And certainly I'm available to talk with anyone through my website as well. So my website is the best place to reach me however you may want to.
Okay. So
goodgriefparenting.com.
Got it. Got it. And so we will put all of those links in the show notes so we can make it a little bit easier for people to find you. And I just have to say, what a great thing to create that resource for educators, because when my kids were little, those early childhood classes were so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
They were my lifeline.
Right.
And if you're educating the educators, because I know they are the people I would have gone to
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I knew that they knew
Mm-hmm.
and I trusted them so much. So hats off to you for creating that and offering that to those educators because
Mm-hmm.
we as mothers, we depend on them when we go to
Right.
those classes. And I don't
Right.
think people realize I don't know if the educators realize my kids are in their late 20s and I still have memories of the classes that I went to and I took my kids to. Those are such important
Mm-hmm.
times for me as a young parent.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for doing that.
Well, and the thing is, because I was an early childhood parent educator, that was what I was trained to do. And when my son got cancer, and my daughter was 15 months old when the first night that her brother was away at the hospital with his dad, and I was home with her. And she started wandering around the house just wailing. She was 15 months old, this little tiny thing, and this sound coming out of her was scary to me. And she went to her brother's bed, and then she went to the garage door, like, take me to my brother. I mean, she was beside herself, even just from him being gone then. And so I was just so tuned into that. And I forget what I was going to say to you. Uh, oh, um, One of the things that we believe that is a myth about grief that comes into what you were saying is that we want to protect children from this. And we can't protect them from it because I wasn't a mess. I wasn't at home being distraught. She wasn't picking this up from me. She was picking it up from what she had experienced living in our family with this going on. And I couldn't protect her from that feeling. So I had to help her cope with it and I had to help her understand it. And so because what I was telling you was that I had not learned anything about grief in all of my training, except in one class where one of my professors talked about families experiencing loss of dreams. But those teachers that are working with our children don't know any more about grief than we do. And so that's why it really is important for them to recognize that there are ways they can talk to kids about grief, use books, use puppets, use the dead bird on the playground, whatever it may be, where they can help kids understand death and loss and grief, and then support the family without feeling like we should protect everybody from it, because we can't and we shouldn't. We need to help them go through it instead.
It sounds like an amazing book. And who's your audience? Who are you writing it for? Are you writing it for educators or for parents?
No, I'm writing it for parents. But I will say that when I started feeling, I know that I always intended that my next book would be more generic. It would be for any adults who need this information, including educators. And when I was struggling with this book, I thought maybe I should write my second book first. And my second book, the working title is The Best Time to Learn About Grief. And it's based on which I tell people, I think childhood is the best time to learn about grief, contrary to what we think, because kids who learn about grief in childhood are going to be able to deal with all the losses they're going to face in their lives much better and support other people who are grieving. But so as I was thinking about the title of this book, I thought the book would be about childhood being the best time to learn about grief. But then I thought about the quote that is, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. And I thought the best time to learn about grief is in childhood, and the second best time is now. And the parents that I work with and the child care providers that I work with don't know about grief. They're learning about it now. So my next book, with the working title, The Best Time to Learn About Grief, is going to talk about adults learning about grief now, unlearning all the things we learned about grief that aren't true and aren't helpful, and then helping children learn about grief as children so that they can grow up equipped. I may write that one first if I continue to be stuck in this other book. But
the thing with writing, sometimes it just kind of pours out of you, like the tears. They just start coming, and you just can't stop. So it'll come. I know it'll come.
Yeah, it
and I'm
will.
excited for you.
Yeah, thank you for the
excited for you.
opportunity to talk about it with you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this with me today on the podcast, Time for You Evolved. And things have evolved for you in so many ways.
Yeah.
I'm sure talking with you 24 years ago would have been a completely different conversation than it is today.
Absolutely.
So as raw as it is, thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to wish that on anyone, and I'm grateful that you're using this as a tool to help other women. One of the things that I love about being a podcast host is the connections that I've been creating with other female entrepreneurs. Today, I was really inspired by Michele Benyo. She has taken her grief and her daughter's grief and is helping other people. And as Michele and I agree, goals are not set in stone. We create goals so that we have something to work towards. Thanks, Michele. I enjoyed having you on our show today.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Time for You for Female Entrepreneurs. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and if you want to support the show, leaving a review goes a long way. A special shout out to our amazing partners and sponsors. Their support allows us to continue bringing you engaging content every week. And with that, a big thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you're ready to supercharge your email marketing and automation game, look no further than my favorite autoresponder, Active Campaign. It's the ultimate all-in-one platform designed to turn your contacts into customers and your customers into loyal advocates. Imagine having a tool that not only understands your customers, but anticipates their needs. That's what Active Campaign does. With its powerful customer experience automation, you can create personalized journeys that nurture leads, drive sales, and build lasting relationships. The biggest reason I chose Active Campaign after trying other autoresponders is because I wanted to make sure my emails were being delivered and not going into spam. I need to know that my emails actually get to the people I'm emailing so that I have good engagement rates, response rates, and click-through rates on every email I create. Then I can have peace of mind that what I send out about my blog posts or upcoming events gets delivered and that people get to read what I write. And since it's just me, using Active Campaign saves me a bunch of time because I've been setting up automations that I can just drag and drop, allowing me to save hours of time. Not only have their pre-built automations and integrations saved me time, I'm able to power a personalized marketing plan throughout the customer's life cycle. In the end, I really want to personalize my message and make sure that each person is getting a unique email tailored to them because I don't want to be sending bulk cookie cutter emails. I want to make sure that my customers and community is getting things that are tailored to them as much as I can. Email marketing doesn't have to be crazy where you're not just pushing information. Active Campaign teaches you how to be pulling information as well. I appreciate the value I've received from Active Campaign when it comes to creating and managing email campaigns. The support through webinars, live chats, and live study halls have been very helpful in maximizing their platform and a great alternative to those other email services I've tried in the past. ActiveCampaign allows me to build a business without relying on advertising. It has simplified my marketing processes, saving me time, which allows me to focus on what I do best, serving my customers. Whether you're a small business or just starting or a seasoned entrepreneur, ActiveCampaign scales to meet your needs and grows with you. If you're ready to up your marketing game, go to my website, lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign. That's my partner link, and sign up for a free trial. Experience firsthand the power of ActiveCampaign and take your marketing to a new level. Don't miss out, stay ahead, and stay automated with ActiveCampaign. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign for your free trial. Hi friends, today let's have a heart-to-heart about something that's been a significant part of my life, skincare. As a busy female entrepreneur, I need a skincare routine that's quick, easy, and super effective. Turning 60 didn't bother me because I've been taking care of my skin every day for 20 plus years. I didn't always, but I'm glad I did start when I did. Let's fast forward to 1 year ago, and let me tell you about a game changer for me. I stumbled across my secret weapon, Droplet. Droplet is not your typical skincare company. It's a revolutionary approach that delivers personalized monthly skincare subscriptions tailored to your specific skin type. The magic lies in the Droplet Micro Infuser, a device that creates microscopic droplets from formulated capsules, expelling them at a high velocity to infuse ultra-concentrated active ingredients deep into your skin. Now, I'm a self-proclaimed skincare junkie. I've tried it all, from serums to spa treatments, and even once selling a natural body care line. So when I heard about Droplet, I knew I had to give it a shot. I can confidently say it's made a remarkable difference in my skin and my routine. The Droplet Skincare Micro Mist Infusing Device is a game changer. It uses a gentle mist to penetrate ingredients 20 times deeper through micro mist technology. It works with formulated capsules similar to an espresso machine, allowing you to infuse the treatments that are right for you into, not just onto, your skin. Here's how Droplet works. Choose your serum, collagen, retinol, glycolic acid, or maybe a lip plumper. Insert the capsule, hold the device to your face, and press the button. A fine mist of the serum is released onto your skin, targeting your face, your neck, chest, anywhere you want to focus on. These misting capsules have transformed my skincare routine. The results are incredible, from increased resilience to fading hyperpigmentation. Why do I love Droplet? It's quick, easy, and the capsules are recyclable. No cleanup, no hassle. And here's the bonus. Droplet's formulas are clinical strength, dermatologist recommended, cruelty-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, gluten-free, soy-free, fragrance-free, and vegan-free. It's a skincare lover's dream. If you're looking to level up your skincare routine and evolve beyond the basics, Droplet is your answer. Plus, they offer free skin consultations with their estheticians to address your skin concerns. Investing in a good skincare routine and self-care is crucial for any woman, especially us busy entrepreneurs. First impressions matter, and you want to put your best face forward. It's time to evolve and embrace the next level of skincare. Head over to the Droplet link on my website today, where you can start your own personalized Droplet routine. Here's to glowing, radiant, and fiercely beautiful you, no matter what age you are. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/droplet.